hello everyone, my name is Laura, this is my channel Laura's Little Library, and welcome to today's video, which is my bookshelf tour. So about every year I do a bookshelf tour. It started off because every year I was basically moving to a new apartment, a new place, and so my bookshelves were constantly changing. However, I really like doing this tradition. I love seeing how my shelves grow and change over the years. So I've decided to keep doing a bookshelf tour at the beginning-ish of every year. And so it is time for my bookshelf tour of 2025. I'm so excited. So a lot obviously has changed with these bookshelves. I still have my same TBR cart, but these are brand new bookshelves that I bought last year because we moved into a house that we bought, and so I wanted things to be just a little bit more permanently set up because I knew we were going to be in this house for quite a while and I was really excited. So I've got like new shelves. They're still decorated for winter and a little bit Christmas, but mostly just winter just because I don't have a lot of winter decorations. But I have two main shelves. The one that I typically film in front of is my fantasy and favorites and things like that. And then I have another one on the other side of the office with my contemporary, romance, and kind of childhood things. So we're gonna go through it all. Is it perfectly set up exactly how I want it? Not quite yet, mostly just because I have a lot of spaces where I am anticipating books that I'm going to be reading very soon. So I want to have spaces for them to be on the shelves, and there's still like a kink or two that I'm working out with these shelves, but I do like how they are. They make me very happy, and if you have any suggestions, I am all ears. So we are going to get started going through the shelves, and some of it might be messy. It's not going to be perfect, but that's fine, okay? Let's go. One other change that I forgot to mention for my bookshelf tour is that I actually moved all of my manga, which is not a huge section, but I actually moved all the manga downstairs underneath the TV because we are also huge anime watchers and I needed more space up here. So it made sense in my brain to have like the manga by where we watch anime, and that was unutilized space, and my partner also enjoys reading manga and watching anime, so it's kind of like more of our shared space down there versus all the books up here are mine. So, alright, there we go. Now let's get into it. First things first is we have this stack of books right here. So basically what's happening here is that these are all the books that I have set aside to put in my free little library. We got a free little library last year in terms of like a few months ago, and so these are all the books that I'm slowly putting in there. However, somebody has consistently cleaned out the free little library, like taken every single book in one go, and that has happened twice, and so I'm a little on the fence of how to proceed because I have books set aside to put in the free little library, but I don't want somebody, especially somebody who's not actually reading them, just somebody who's taking them, because we are in a not the best neighborhood and we are right by a bus stop, so somebody is just taking them and not actually reading them, and so I'm not quite sure how to proceed with these books because they are meant for the little library, but I want people who are actually interested in them to be able to read them rather than somebody just taking them because they're there. So the messiest part of this is having these here, and I don't know what to do with them, but we'll see. We're most likely going to move in 6 months, and so we'll take the free little library with us, and maybe the neighborhood we move to will have some readers who are interested in these books. Next to that is the TBR cart, and as you can see, this thing is full. I do have it somewhat organized, a little bit, but it is still quite full, and I'm hoping to cut down on the books on this TBR soon by prioritizing them. So here at the bottom, these are actually all of the horror thriller books that I have not yet read. I got majority of these for spooky season, but then didn't have the time to read them, so they are down here because I'm probably not going to get to them until summer or next spooky season. So I'm going to read them. I want to read them, but they're not a priority. But this way they're all together. so that if I do want to read a thriller, I know exactly where to look. This middle shelf there are some murder, thriller, horror books on here as well, kind of coming up from the bottom shelf, but then there are also some fantasy and other books that I've gotten somewhat recently that I want to read, so I will probably pull from these, but they're not always the top priority, although I've got a couple here on the end that are definitely huge priority, really want to get to. And then the top shelf, where it is quite full, are ones that I need to get these read and done, either because they've been on here forever, like I've got some Christmas books that have been on here forever, and Spy X Family. Not even sure why I haven't read that yet. That'll literally take me 20 minutes to read those 3 manga. So it's a little ridiculous that it's there, but other books that I'm just so excited to read, like The Blood Orchid, that is the second book in a duology or in a series that I've started, and it had such a great cliffhanger. The 13th Child by Erin A. Craig, I'm so excited, and some other new releases like Immortal and Witchcraft for Wayward Girls that I have recently got, and now they're at the top of my TBR cart because I want to read them like right now. So moving to the top of my shelf, these right here are some of my favorite books of all time. Babel is my favorite book of all time, and All That Consumes Us was one of my favorite books. It should have been my favorite book of the year last year, but I didn't have it officially as that, but really it should have been. So those two just are what I wish my life would be, which sounds terrible because they're not good, but like I love them. And so I kind of have lots of space here on my top shelf that I can continue to put other books as I read them, especially a lot of the thriller horror, and I'll get to that in a minute. But then I do actually have my Jennifer Lynn Barnes books and Every Heart a Doorway series by Shauna McGuire. I don't have very many of these. I just haven't figured out the best spot yet to put them in the shelf. But also, I really like the look of them, and I just don't have the space for how I want them displayed. So they're chilling at the very top. Moving down to the actual top shelf here, this is my dark academia horror thriller. So we've got Study in Drowning and A Deadly Education by Naomi Novik, Less Than Inventions, My Dearest Darkest, which is dark academia, and then This Delicious Death is also by Kayla Cunningham. It's not dark academia, but I wanted to keep the author together. The Ravens by Morgan Page, The Grimoire Girls duology, How We Fell Apart, The Mary Shelley Club, Mercury Boys, The Center, Education in Malice. Those are all dark academia, which I love dark academia. So I wanted them all together. And then I've got some more of just the thriller horror around it because I feel like that's what goes with dark academia. That's what it's the subgenre for. So House of Hollow, Court of Undying Seasons, Anatomy and Immortal, That's Not My Name, Mexican Gothic, Fangs, Mind the Bull. And then I have White Smoke, and then House of Salt and Sorrow, and House of Roots and Ruin. And then I have this cool little art card that I got from when I saw Erin A. Craig at the library. So I was able to get this cool little art card to go with it. I have The Writer's Retreat, The Silent Patient, and then we get into Ruth Ware for a couple of books, and just some other general. I've got Grady Hendrix in the corner there. More Sylvia Moreno Garcia. She's not together, but that's more so to do with like the size, the hardcover of the books, because I have Mexican Gothic softcover, and then I just think it looks aesthetically better to have the hardcover by color and size getting bigger and bluer as we go down. And then I also have this little thing of pins, which is really fun. So, and on the other side, I also have my compass, and this is theoretically also for pins, but I don't want to put pins on it because I really like how it looks just as it is. So moving down, we've got my mythology shelf. So this is where my mythology books start, and I vaguely have them in order of kind of continent / region. So we've got my Elizabeth Lim books here. I love these editions. And then moving on to A Magic Steeped in Poison, that duology, Daughter of the Moon Goddess duology by Su Lin Tan, and the Foxwife. So this is all Chinese mythology. And then I believe the Foxwife is also Chinese mythology. The Girl Who Fell Beneath the Sea is Korean, and so is The Wicked Fox by Kat Cho duology. And then we get more into South Asian with Star Daughter by Shveta Thakrar, and The Ivory Key, Mirage, City of Brass, trilogy, We Hunt the Flame, kind of getting into more of your Middle Eastern mythology here with We Hunt the Flame, The Candle in the Flame, Spice Road, Girl Serpent Thorn, and then back into South Asia a little bit with Monsters Born and Made. And then I have, I don't want to say like the rest, but The Curse of the Spectre Queen is Irish, Rise of the Snake Goddess is Greek, but it's a series by Jenny Elder Moak. And then What the River Knows, and the second book to this is on my TBR, and so this is Egyptian but with a Latina main character, and I haven't read the second book yet, so I don't know if it is the same mythology or not that it's kind of based in, but it's Indiana Jones themed. These are Indiana Jones themed, so they kind of change around. I have The Night and Its Moon, which is a little more Irish, Gods of Jade and Shadow by Silvia Moreno Garcia. This is kind of my only Latin American indigenous mythology, unfortunately. I've got some Russian mythology here, and then Norse mythology as well, which is why I have my little Vikings deck of cards by my Norse mythology. Underneath the mythology, I have favorite and kind of darker fantasy. So of course I have the Rebecca Yarros, The Fourth Wing series. I have my Tricia Lovenseller duologies, a couple of those because I love them. They're my favorites. I've got my Hannah Witten couple of duologies here. It's just very on theme. I've got Stephanie Garber here with the Caraval trilogy. I have 2 editions of Once Upon a Broken Heart and no other books in this series yet, although I have read the series. So I have that, and then next to it, of course, is Holly Black. All of the Holly Black books that I have are here, and Sarah J. Maas is in the corner because I am currently working my way through them, so there we go. Underneath, some of my favorites are more amazing favorites. Let me just move these trees. So again, more favorites, fantasy, some cozy fantasy and nature vibes. So we have The Scarlet Alchemist and This Vicious Grace. This is the Emily Thede duology. And then we get into some cozy with Can't Spell Trees Without Tea, Legends and Lattes, Bookshops and Bone Dust. And then we get into all of my Rachel Griffin books. And these are very, they're witchy books. I love them so much. They're all standalones. They're not a series, but they're all very nature focused. So The Nature of Witches, Wild as the Witch, Bring Me Your Midnight. I am so excited for her new book coming out later this year, and that just kind of really flows into my cozy fantasy really well, I think, especially with the Spell Shop, which is cozy fantasy, but also she opens a jam shop, so it's kind of natural-ish. And then I've got the Emily Wilde books, and then The Honey Witch, again, just very on theme. I feel like it's very aesthetically pleasing to me, at least. And I actually have space here for the next Emily Wilde book, and also because I have Foxglove and Wisteria, but I don't have Belladonna, so I wanted to leave a space for when I finally get Belladonna, because I didn't buy it and then it came out in paperback, and now I want to find it in hardcover, because I do have these in hardcover, so I want to keep it the same. And then over here is all of my Carrie Maniscalco. So I've got Stalking Jack the Ripper series, the Kingdom of the Wicked trilogy with Kingdom of the Feared as kind of the feature, because I don't have a feature book on this bookshelf at all, except for this one. So this will give me some space when some more books come out, but for now, I'm just happy I have a feature book. There are so many beautiful books. Like for a while I had the Encyclopedia of Fairies out as a feature book, but just with space-wise, I had to turn them back in. Anyway, and then I have Carrie Maniscalco's 2 other new books, The Throne of the Fallen and The Throne of Secrets. And then in the corner, hard to reach, are the Shelby Mahurin books, the trilogy and the Scarlet Veil. And then I've got little salt and pepper shakers with Chasseur and Dame Blanche. Unfortunately, those are kind of hidden away in the corner, but overall, it's a very transitional flow of the shelf from cozy fantasy, nature, cozy to smutty, smut. So I have it this way and I like it this way. And then the final shelf is the bottom shelf here, and this is kind of more overflow books that are I really like. For example, Garth Nix, all of his books in this world, the Sabriel trilogy, and then Clariel Golden Hand. I really like those. And then it ends with Fire and the Scythe trilogy. I know the third book isn't over here. It's because I'm still reading it. But like some of these books, they're all very different genres and things like I wouldn't normally place them next to each other, but either I need to read them or I need to get rid of them. That's what this shelf is I need to just pick one, read it, and either keep it and put it away like a pinch of magic with middle grade, or get rid of it, probably put it in the free little library. So that's what a lot of these books are. And then over here are more just kind of independent fantasy that I have read. These are all books that I have read, and they kind of live here because they don't necessarily flow with the books on these other shelves, but you know, they need a place. They deserve a place. So this is where they live. And that way they're still on the favorites shelf in general. Like this is just my fantasy and favorites shelf. So. And then this is the other shelf, the second and final shelf in the book room that I have and that we will be going over. So starting up top, it's kind of hard to see with my really cool lamp decoration. I love having this plugged in. It gives such an atmosphere when reading, as well as a Fulani hat on top. Don't ask me, that's from my partner. But we've got a little bit of middle grade, mostly just the School for Good and Evil series. I have all but the last book, and then any mass market paperback. I don't read or like mass market paperback typically, but these books I really wanted to own, and so they're kind of just up there chilling with the middle grade. And then going down to this shelf is, surprise, surprise, more fantasy, mostly just fantasy that did not fit on the other shelf, and I'm okay with having on a different shelf. So I have Gallant, I do have a couple of Dark Academia, Fragile Enchantment, Adventures of Amina al-Sarafi, I have the Glittering Court trilogy, and then I have books by Margaret Rogerson here. Like, I liked these books a lot, okay? They're just here. I have Assistant to the Villain, and then we actually get into my queer romance books specifically. So Imogen, obviously, Out of the Blue, Casey McQuiston's The Pairing, Darker Waters, Delilah Green Doesn't Care, Please Don't Mind the Poll, Friday I'm in Love, and then we get into just romance. So no longer queer, but just general romance. So like the Fine Print trilogy, my Sarah Adams books, The Roughest Draft, my Alyssa K. Adams books, some of my really smutty novellas, and then ending with Emily Henry because her books are tall and hardback now, so they make a good bookend. So that's my romance section. I do love reading romance. I just don't own very many of them. But I love how colorful it is, and I actually like having the authors together rather than doing it by rainbow, which is what it originally was. And then these don't necessarily have super strong themes, so I'm not quite putting them together by sports romance or baking romance, but that will come in a little bit later. But these are like my strictly romance that I love. Moving on, I have graphic novels in the corner, so the Tea Dragon Society, my Fence volumes, Pumpkin Heads, Sheets, The Moth Keeper, The Sprite and the Gardener, Mooncakes. I've got In Real Life kind of stuck in there, The Girl and the Sea. These are all of my graphic novels. And then going back into more romance, some of them are adult, some of them are YA, but this is where I have more themed romance. So I've got like the Christmas ones with Along Came Holly, Kiss Her Once for Me, Love Life Farms, Cat Cafe Christmas, Pumpkin Spice and Everything Nice. And then we get into Halloween or spooky season romances with The Very Secret Society of Irregular Witches, Looking for Love in All the Haunted Places, Casket Case, The Dead Romantics. And so those are the seasonal ones. And then I've got a couple, The Firekeeper's Daughter, Warrior Girl on Earth, and Throwback, where they're just kind of contemporary. And then Moving into, I have the Rachel Hawkins duology, Tokyo Ever After duology by Emiko Jean. You Had Me at Hola. Fake It Till You Bake It is when we start getting into the baking romances with Rosaline Palmer Takes the Cake, A Taste for Love. And then we've got just more contemporaries, and these kind of get into more of the murder mysteries, but like in a very whimsical, whimsical way. So The Thursday Murder Club, Finley Dunaway's Killing It, Dial A for Aunties, books like that that are just murder but fun. And then more of the contemporary here with the Love Boat Taipei. Absolutely love Abigail Hingwen's books for those. And then let me just move my indie bookstore and stay a while so that you can see my last couple of contemporary books. Now this is definitely when things start to get a little weird, so I've got some more fantasy and sci-fi series. These tend to be a little bit on the older side with the Scott Westerfield. I love those in middle school, but the Gildan ones by Namina Forna, that's not old, that is very new. I just wanted it over here. And some other just kind of random little books until I get into the more linguistic, multilingual books. So I've got like Irish and Celtic myths and fairy tales, and then that actually leads into this shelf here. So this shelf here, let me explain. I've got dictionaries, and these are the books that I have that are in different languages. So I've got like my Arabic, Aragon, I've got in English and German, Russian, French, Spanish, you know, things like that, because I am an avid language learner, so I do tend to have dictionaries. I love collecting dictionaries, so this is my dictionary collection. And then I also have my classic books here because they are just really pretty, and I feel like they really help liven up the dictionaries a little bit. Going down, we have my historical fiction collection. So I don't remember if or how I organize these. It might honestly just be soft cover and by color, rather than, I know it used to be by continent or time period. No, I'm pretty sure this is just by author, color, and aesthetic. So enjoy. I've got the Kristen Hanna books, some of them, not all of them, things like that. And then over in the corner, you can't see very well, but it's all my Harry Potter books and my Percy Jackson books and my Chemical Garden trilogy. So those are books I loved when I was much younger, and they have a special place in my heart. I will never get rid of them, but they are not the main focus for my life now or my channel. And then that is kind of the same thing down here. Hiding in this bottom corner is like the Divergent trilogy, the Selection, the Hunger Games, Shadow and Bone, Shatter Me, just those series that I don't reach for and I don't talk about or think about much, but I still have them. I'm probably not going to get rid of them, or at least not for a while yet, but they're still here. And then the final shelf that I have here, basically the Disney Twisted Tales books and a couple other like retellings of just kind of fairy tales. So the Disney Twisted Tales are organized by which ones are my favorites. And you can see here I don't have the snow decoration on the shelf, so this is actually what the shelves look like. They're beautiful dark brown wood. They look a lot lighter on the camera, but they are darker in person, I promise. And then I do have like this Poison Heart, which is a Secret Garden retelling, Red Wolf, To Kill a Kingdom, just other kind of darker fairy tale retellings go with my Disney Twisted Tales. So that is this entire shelf. It's definitely is quite the range with just the leftover fantasy, romance, graphic novel, more romance, contemporary, and then into kind of, I don't want to call them overflow books, but they're overflow books that I'm not going to get rid of. So there you go. And then these are the final few books that I have. We have this huge series of female detectives in Africa that I've yet to read. They were a gift. And then all of my manga. So I have 4 volumes of Horimiya and the Spy X Family, which is also next to our Switch and Nintendo games underneath the TV. So these are the last of it. And those are my bookshelves. Thank you all very much for watching. If you like this video or if you like my shelves, give it a thumbs up. Comment down below, how do you organize your shelves? What do you prioritize? How do you decorate it? Anything about how your shelves look. I love hearing other people's ideas. It helps me try and figure out how I want my shelves to look. So again, thank you all very much for watching. If you like bookish content like this, you should hit the subscribe and hit the bell to be notified. I post a new bookish video every week on this channel, and I also have bookish social media linked down below, like my Goodreads and my Bookstagram and things like that you can follow me and keep up with what I'm reading there. So yeah, again, thank you all very much for watching, and until I see you in the next video, I wish you happy reading.